We are on the road to WWE Survivor Series War Games. That's right, 2022. I'm going to give you my predictions for the match card today here on SCW. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave any comments in the comment section, please, and like and share the video as well. I've got 6 matches predicted all together. As we know, Triple H likes a more trimmed looking card, so I expect no more than 6 matches on this show. 2 of them, as we know, will be War Games, 1 for the men and 1 for the women. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it, shall we? Let's talk about the women's War Games match, because we already know few competitors that have been announced for this match after Monday Night Raw this week. On the babyface side, we have Bianca Belair, we have Alexa Bliss and Asuka, and on the heel side, we've got Damage Control's Bayley, Dakota Kai, Io Sky, and they're also lined now with Nikki Cross. So there are 3 vacant spots at this point in the match, and if I had to think about it, this is what I've gone with for the time being, because first off, Candice LeRae has been someone that I think could be a good fit for the babyface side. She has been on the side of Bianca Belair since debuting on Monday Night Raw. Of course, she's had problems with Damage Control, having a number of matches against them, and also she was actually written off TV. She was attacked by Damage Control backstage, so I wouldn't be surprised if she was to make a return to WWE TV to align herself with Bianca's team. Speaking of Bianca Belair, we had a great little tease also this past Monday Night on Raw, a stare down with her and Rhea Ripley. Both have a lot of history together. Of course, they were supposed to have a Raw Women's Championship match at Money in the Bank this year before Rhea Ripley was injured. She's returned to action in most recent weeks. Of course, she's been doing a lot of the outside interfering on behalf of Judgment Day against the OC. So I think that this could be a tease that she could be inserted in the match. And now that we have the Rhea Ripley problem solver in Mia Yim, I think that they will fill out the final 2 spots. So for my prediction for it, I believe that Bianca Belair's team will feature Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Candice LeRae and Mia Yim, and on the heel side we've got Damage Control, Bayley being the leader, along with Dakota Kai, Io Sky, Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley. Now, while I think that's the most likely lineup, I can't help but speculate and do a bit of fancy booking as well, because there are 2 names that have been absent for 6 months from WWE, and with this show taking place in Boston, I would not be surprised if there was going to be 1 or 2 returns that could happen inside of War Games here. Yes, I'm talking about Sasha Banks and Naomi. Now, the way that you could do this, perhaps Candice LeRae doesn't return from the injury to come here for War Games. I think that could be one way that you could do it, because, well, she could return after War Games, and that's a natural progression of storyline for Damage Control to have a new feud going on afterwards, rather than continually facing Bianca Belair. Another alternative of what you can do is write someone else out of the match. Now, Alexa Bliss for me will be the most likely of the lineup that I've picked, because Nikki Cross has been on a bit of a rampage since coming back. She's been very unhinged, very unpredictable. She's already got rid of the 24/7 championship, and she's been targeting Alexa Bliss. So to write her out of the match could be a fun way to do it as well. Feeling like it'll be 5-on-3, and then perhaps on the go-home show we could get a return of Sasha Banks and Naomi to know that they will be a part of the War Games match, because you know that the reaction in Boston, particularly Sasha Banks' hometown, would be electric if they were to be a part of the lineup. But that would be my backup prediction. It's something almost a bit more fantasy booking, if we're being honest with this last bit. So let's move on and look at the rest of the card, and I'll give you my other War Games match prediction at the end of the video. Let's go with the rest of the card first, starting off with the OC versus Judgment Day in a 6-man tag team match, 3-on-3 traditional Survivor Series match, because finally the Rhea Ripley problem has been solved. They don't need to be involved in this match, Rhea Ripley and Mia Yim. You could do simply an 8-person tag team match here, but for me, if the Rhea Ripley problem has been solved and she's involved in the first match in War Games, she won't be a factor later on the evening of finally being an even playing field between the OC and the Judgment Day. Now, the other thing you might be thinking also is, but Steve, usually Survivor Series matches are 5-on-5. That's the traditional format. But back in the 90s, it was actually quite traditional to do 4v4. And there was an occasion back at the Survivor Series in 1991 when we had a 3-on-3 Survivor Series match. In fact, the Big Boss Man and the Legion of Doom took on IRS and the Natural Disasters, with the survivors of that match being the Legion of Doom, Animal and Hawk, for anyone looking for historical references. But so yeah, it has been done before, so it's not out of possibility that it could happen again. again. Since the fact you've not got the traditional 5-on-5 as well means that this match wouldn't take as long, which I think Triple H would be cautious of timing on this show. The War Games matches themselves are probably going to take more than half of the show, so I think that a 3-on-3 in the elimination style would work quite nicely. Then it's not simply just a rematch from Crown Jewel either. So for me, that's how I think they should book it, and that's how I think they will book it. That way it's fresh and exciting, and you've still got a bit of tradition going into this year's Survivor Series with this match. A big time match now for the United States Championship coming up next. Roles reversed now in babyface and heel. We've got a babyface, Seth frickin' Rollins, taking on a full-on heel in Bobby Lashley. Of course, when Seth won the championship, he was the heel and Lashley was the face, but the way story has played out over the last number of weeks, those roles have been reversed, and I think it could be quite beautifully done for this story. Bobby Lashley has said that no one is going to get a crack at the United States Championship until he is the one that does so. So for me, this makes sense here for the story for these two to have a one-on-one match here at the big time show that is the Survivor Series. You could add an Austin Theory in there because of course of the failed cash-in attempt for Money in the Bank, because Lashley arguably did cost him from winning that match in the end. Mustafa Ali lost his opportunity as well to even go for the open challenge also, but I think that they may be the people that are in the way on Monday Night Raw in the meantime, and we'll save the big singles match here for the premium live event. Next match I'm going to predict is none other than Johnny Gargano against The Miz, a rematch from this past week on Monday Night Raw. Dexter Lumis was supposed to have a match to try and get an opportunity to win a contract in WWE, and that seemed to be scrapped around the time that it was done. Nothing's been made of it since, so I think it could be quite interesting for storytelling purposes if Johnny Gargano was to try and win Dexter Lumis his contract in WWE. A lot riding on the line for Johnny Gargano, and of course then The Miz can get rid of Dexter Lumis without having to face him. And of course, if Johnny Gargano does go on to win, which I presume he would this time, then Miz would face Dexter Lumis going into the Raws towards the end of the year to close off that feud. But yeah, would Dexter Lumis survive in WWE? Pun intended. All would be on the line in this grudge match. Speaking of rematches, this will be the last time though for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Ronda Rousey defending against Liv Morgan. Both characters have been redefined since their first match earlier this year at Money in the Bank. They've gone on to wrestle at SummerSlam and of course also at Extreme Rules. But now Ronda Rousey's gone fully fledged heel going forward, it seems. Liv Morgan's got a much more extreme kind of character going forward, putting her body on the line at each and every given opportunity. The key here is to try and make Liv Morgan seem like she's still a top star in the SmackDown Women's division. Also to make her seem like more of a legitimate threat. She's always been the champion that escaped from Ronda Rousey. She never felt like that she was in any way a threat to Ronda, and I think that really harmed her character and her run as SmackDown Women's Champion. So this is almost like a saving grace of doing this match one more time, and I think that's why you get the benefit of doing it one more time. Let's not forget as well that Ronda Rousey now has backup in Shayna Baszler, so if Ronda Rousey is put to the test in one final match, you could get Baszler to help Ronda Rousey, and therefore you've got another natural feud going to SmackDown Weekly going after this with Shayna Baszler versus Liv Morgan. My last reason why I also think that this match will go down at the Survivor Series, I don't think that we go another PLE without Ronda Rousey defending the championship, and no one seems to be groomed as another number one contender at this moment, so it makes me feel that Liv Morgan still has one more match in her, and perhaps after this match, perhaps WWE can then start building a new number one contender and a fresh rivalry for Ronda Rousey going into Royal Rumble season. Last but not least, then, let's look at the men's War Games match, shall we? And of course, yes, the Bloodline, 5-on-5. They are the one faction of 5 people, so it's a natural fit to have them in this match as well. You want to make the most headlines as possible. Roman Reigns inside of War Games does that. To go against them at the moment as a prediction, I'm going to be honest, I'm looking at who they are actually feuding with on SmackDown on weekly TV right now, and that is the Brawling Brutes and the New Day. Of course, we know Logan Paul is an attraction that came in for the Crown Jewel match. Of course, he picked up some injuries as well during that. It's probably going on the shelf for a long time with an MCL and ACL injury. So, yeah, we look at first the Brawling Brutes. Obviously, the Usos defended the Unified Tag Team Championships against them at Crown Jewel. That was Butch and Ridge Holland. Sheamus was written off TV, of course, to go and have his wedding. Congratulations, Sheamus. It was a 4-on-1 beatdown by the Bloodline, so I expect him to return on behalf of Fight Night and the Brawling Brutes there to fill 3 of the spots. The New Day would actually be quite a sensible addition because of the high-flying element of War Games. Kofi jumping off the cage, Xavier Woods would have that ability as well. We do know that we've got the New Day versus the Usos this upcoming week on SmackDown. If the Usos survive as tag team champions, they will now hold the record as the longest reigning tag team champions of all time, which is currently held by the New Day at the time of recording. Now, of course, the Usos could simply just win that match and the New Day are not involved. What would we do instead? I do have a backup idea because the Brawling Brutes, I do think, is the long-term play at the moment for the Bloodline. And I do think Sheamus versus Roman Reigns is a match they'll do on SmackDown TV before the end of the year, or potentially could be the match we could see at the Royal Rumble. And if that was to be the case, then why not Drew McIntyre be someone that's on the side of Sheamus and the Brawling Brutes? I know they've been feuding a lot in the past, but they've been friends for a long time. They are all now under the babyface of WWE, which are fan favourites, so why not reunite them for this War Games match? Drew McIntyre does add some star power name to this team as well, and one other name that does that also, someone that's not been on TV for a while, is none other than Kevin Owens. Of course, Kevin Owens had said when he was a part of Raw, became the prize fighter again when Triple H took over creative, said he was coming for Roman Reigns. He's been off TV for a while. He could be a permanent move to the SmackDown roster, which I think is probably critical right now if you want to do his storyline of him and perhaps say Sami Zayn going for the tag titles at WrestleMania, because then you can start planting the seeds for that now, because Kevin Owens can come back in, perhaps to start off with, coming for Roman Reigns, yes, coming for the Bloodline, yes. Probably not a fan of Sami Zayn, still thinks that Sami Zayn is being an idiot for trying to be the honorary Uso and trying to be a part of this Bloodline, that he's being led along and they will ditch him at the first given opportunity, which may actually be the case if Sami Zayn was to lose this match on behalf of the Bloodline. I think that that would actually be very good storyline narrative going forward. I've said that on videos for quite a while now, since we knew we were going to have War Games here at the Survivor Series. I think it's a good placeholder to start the cracks with Sami and the Bloodline. Perhaps you don't eliminate Sami immediately from the Bloodline, but certainly you can start the cracks here, or Sami could be the reason that perhaps Jey Uso loses the match for the Bloodline. Something like that could be a lot of fun to see, and I think Kevin Owens again has a lot of experience in War Games. In fact, in both War Games matches where we've seen them in NXT, a number of people who have been involved in NXT are in these matches here, and Kevin Owens, who went down to NXT for one of these matches as well, have been and seen and done it before, so it's good to have a bit of experience in these cage matches as well. But as a final prediction then for the men's and women's War Game matches, I'm going to go with my first picks first, because that's why I've picked them first and spoke about them first, but I have the backup idea because we don't know who's filling the spots, and there are a lot of different ways that WWE can go, and I think that also makes this very exciting as they want to put things together as we go into Survivor Series. And we're no stranger to seeing teams being changed either in Survivor Series history, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happened again this year as well. So that's my predictions there for you for Survivor Series War Games 2022, the match card there for you. Let's see if these matches happen. What matches do you want to see at Survivor Series War Games? Let me know in the comments below what would be the match card you think will happen, or the match card that you would book. Maybe you want to do some fantasy booking. Happy to read what you've got in the comments section as well. Check out some other videos on the side of your screen as well, perhaps my Crown Jewel review. There was a live Q&A this week also, and I've even booked the Bloodline with multiple different ideas for War Games, not just the ones you've heard on this video, so make sure to go and check those videos out for yourself right now. Of course, there will be actual predictions once we get to Survivor Series week as well, more videos between now and then also, so make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, you know, each and every time a new video is released on the channel. But that's all for me. Thanks for watching, take care, have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you next time.